He rules a powerful pack and a ruthless empire, but time is running out. So he makes a desperate move, hire a human to play the role of his fated mate, just long enough to survive the summit, just long enough to keep his crown. She's broke, sarcastic, and hiding a gift she barely understands. She was never supposed to be real, never supposed to matter. But in a world ruled by ancient laws and deadly rivals, pretending becomes dangerous. Jealous alphas circle, secrets surface, and a bond meant to be fake begins to burn for real. When betrayal strikes and blood is spilled, fate makes its move. Because some bonds can't be undone, even if they were built on a lie. When the truth comes out, will this alpha choose power or the mate he was never meant to love? Lucas stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, his rigid posture betraying the tension coursing through his body. The city lights sparkled below like scattered diamonds, but he barely noticed them. His reflection stared back at him, jaw clenched, eyes hard with determination. "This is insane, Lucas," Derek said from behind him. "Hiring someone to pose as your mate? The risks are astronomical." Lucas turned from the window, his movements measured and controlled, despite the fury still simmering beneath the surface. "Do you have a better solution? The council meeting made it clear Matthias has been plotting this for months." "But faking a mate bond?" Derek ran a hand through his dark hair in frustration. "The elders will see right through it. Not to mention the legal nightmare if word gets out that the CEO of Thorn Industries orchestrated such a deception." "Which is why no one can know," Lucas replied, his voice carrying the weight of Alpha Command even though he wasn't actively using it. He moved to his desk, pressing his palms against the smooth mahogany surface. 3 months, Derek. That's all the time we have before the Pack Summit. If I don't present a mate by then, Matthias wins. Derek crossed his arms, studying his alpha and friend. "And what happens to this woman after? Have you considered the implications of involving an innocent person in pack politics?" "She'll be well compensated," Lucas stated flatly. "A clean break after the summit, with enough money to start a new life anywhere she wants." "Money isn't everything, Lucas. We're talking about someone's life here." Lucas's wolf bristled at the challenge in Derek's tone, but he forced it down. This was why he valued Derek as his beta. He wasn't afraid to speak truth to power. "I know. But losing control of the pack to Matthias would affect far more lives. You've seen how he operates, his old world mentality. Everything we've built, all the progress we've made in modernizing pack structure and business operations. He'd destroy it all." Derek moved to the leather chairs facing Lucas's desk and sank into one with a heavy sigh. "Fine. Let's say I agree to help. What exactly are you looking for in this candidate?" Lucas straightened, switching into strategic mode. "Someone intelligent enough to learn pack protocol quickly, strong-willed enough to handle the pressure, but practical enough to maintain professional boundaries. No family ties or complicated relationships that could compromise the arrangement." He paused, then added, "And she needs to be able to act, to convince everyone that she's genuinely my mate." "That's quite a list," Derek remarked dryly. "And she needs to be willing to lie to an entire pack of werewolves, many of whom can literally smell deception." "We can work around that," Lucas said, though his voice held a trace of uncertainty. "There are ways to mask sense, to explain away the absence of a true mate bond. The important thing is finding someone who can pull this off convincingly." Derek leaned forward, his expression serious. "Lucas, as your beta and friend, I have to ask, are you sure about this? Once we start down this path?" "I'm sure." Lucas's voice was steel, his alpha authority bleeding through. "Matthias gave me no choice. He's been working to undermine me for years, using tradition as a weapon. This mate ultimatum is just his latest move." The office fell silent except for the distant hum of the city below. Derek studied Lucas for a long moment before nodding slowly. "All right, I'll start discreet inquiries tomorrow. We'll need to create an airtight background story, Set up proper vetting procedures. Use whatever resources you need, Lucas said. But keep this between us. No one else can know, not even the security team. And what about the woman herself? How much will we tell her about our world? Lucas's expression hardened. As little as possible. The less she knows about werewolves and pack dynamics, the better. We'll present it as a business arrangement with some unusual social requirements. A human who doesn't know what we are, pretending to be your mate in front of the entire pack? Derek shook his head. This plan has more holes than a target at the shooting range. Then we'll plug them, Lucas snapped, his patience wearing thin. I don't like this any more than you do, Derek, but I won't let Matthias win. I won't let him destroy everything my father built, everything we've worked for. Derek stood, recognizing the dismissal in his alpha's tone. I'll start working on it first thing tomorrow. But Lucas? He paused at the door. Be careful. Matthias isn't the only one who could get hurt in this game you're planning to play. The bell above the door chimed weakly as Mr. Chen stormed out of Madame Chloe's mystical readings, leaving behind the lingering scent of his cigarettes and his final warning about rent. Chloe Winters slumped in her velvet-cushioned chair, eyeing the peeling wallpaper of her tiny storefront. Well, that could have gone better, she muttered to herself, counting the measly stack of bills in her cash box for the third time. The total hadn't magically increased since the last count. $23.50 wouldn't exactly impress her landlord. She straightened the crystal ball on its purple cloth, more for something to do with her hands than any real purpose. The afternoon sun filtering through her dusty window cast rainbow prisms across the worn carpet, making the tacky supernatural decor look almost magical. Almost. The door chimed again. Chloe's head snapped up, ready to launch into her usual welcoming spiel, but the words died in her throat. The man who entered looked completely out of place in her shabby shop. His charcoal suit probably cost more than 6 months of her rent, and his sharp, assessing gaze took in every detail of the room with businesslike efficiency. Recovering quickly, Chloe plastered on her most mysterious smile. "Welcome, seeker of truth," she intoned, gesturing dramatically to the chair across from her small table. "The spirits have been expecting you." The corner of the man's mouth twitched, but he played along, settling gracefully into the rickety chair. "Have they now?" "Indeed." Chloe reached for her crystal ball, letting her bangles jingle appropriately. "I am Madame Chloe, and I shall be your guide through the veil of—" The vision hit without warning, slamming into her consciousness with the force of a freight train. The crystal ball slipped from her suddenly numb fingers as images flooded her mind. Massive wolves running under a full moon, their powerful bodies moving in perfect synchronization through misty woods. A man with intense golden eyes and an aura of raw power. The snap of fangs, the gleam of claws, the taste of blood. Chloe blinked rapidly, her heart hammering. The shop swam back into focus, along with the stranger's face. He was watching her with keen interest, all pretense of playing the casual customer gone. "I'm fine," she managed, forcing a laugh. "Just got a little lightheaded. Now, shall we begin your reading?" Her hands shook as she reached for her tarot cards instead, desperate to move past whatever that vision had been. "I think we can drop the act," he said quietly. "My name is Derek Ashford, and I'm here because I know you're the real deal." Chloe froze. "I don't know what you're talking about. I just provide entertainment." She straightened in her chair, dropping the mystical facade entirely. "Are you here to blackmail me or something?" "Actually, I'm here to offer you a job." He pulled an envelope from his suit jacket and placed it on the table. $50,000 for 1 week of your time. Chloe stared at the envelope, then back at him. "What's the catch?" "You'll need to attend a corporate retreat, playing the role of my associate's girlfriend. Learn some basic protocols, attend some meetings, convince people you're genuinely involved with him." "Let me get this straight," Chloe said slowly. You're offering me 50 grand to pretend to be some rich guy's arm candy for a week? Derek's expression remained perfectly neutral. The position requires discretion and the ability to think on your feet. Given your current profession, I'd say you're qualified in both areas. The responsible part of Chloe's brain screamed that this was too good to be true, but the part that had been living on ramen noodles and dodging bill collectors couldn't help doing the math. $50,000 would clear her debts, give her a fresh start, maybe even let her go back to school. "Why me?" she asked. "There must be dozens of actresses or escorts who'd jump at this kind of offer." "We need someone with your particular talents," Derek replied carefully. "Someone who can read situations intuitively." Chloe thought of the vision she'd just had, of wolves and golden eyes. Something told her there was far more to this offer than Derek was revealing, but with eviction looming, when do I start? The elevator doors opened silently onto the top floor of Thorn Tower. Chloe followed Derek through dimly lit hallways, her heels clicking against marble floors that probably cost more than her entire life savings. The building felt different after hours, emptier, more imposing, like a sleeping predator. "Remember what we discussed," Derek said quietly as they approached a set of massive double doors. "Be professional, direct, and—" "Don't run screaming," Chloe suggested, only half joking. Her earlier visions still haunted her, making her skin prickle with unease. Derek's expression remained serious. "That would be preferred, yes." He opened the doors to reveal a vast office space. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a stunning view of the city lights below, but Chloe barely noticed. Her attention was drawn to the shadows near the desk, where a figure stood with his back to them. "Sir," Derek announced, "Miss Winters is here." The man turned, and Chloe's heart stopped. Golden eyes from her vision, except now they were a cold steel gray. Dark hair, sharp features carved from marble, and in presence that seemed to fill the entire room. Power rolled off him in waves, making the air feel thick and heavy. "Miss Winters?" His voice was deep, controlled, completely devoid of warmth. "I'm Lucas Thorne." Chloe's feet itched to run, every instinct screaming danger. But $50,000 kept her rooted to the spot. "Nice to meet you," she managed, proud that her voice didn't shake. Lucas moved closer, studying her like she was an interesting specimen under glass. "Derek tells me you're a genuine psychic. That could be useful. But first, there's something you need to understand about the position we're offering." "What? That you're not actually human?" The words slipped out before she could stop them. A flash of surprise crossed his face, quickly masked. "How did you—" "I saw wolves in my vision earlier. And your eyes." Chloe gestured vaguely. "They were different. Golden." "Like this?" Lucas's eyes suddenly blazed molten gold, pupils elongating into animal slits. Chloe stumbled backward with a gasp. "What are you?" "I am Alpha of the Thorn Pack," he stated matter-of-factly. "Werewolves are real, Miss Winters. We live among humans, hidden in plain sight. I lead one of the most powerful packs in North America." Chloe laughed nervously. "Right, and I'm actually a fairy princess." Lucas's eyes narrowed. Without warning, his features began to shift, bones cracking and reforming, fangs lengthening past his lips. It lasted only seconds, but it was enough. Chloe pressed herself against the wall, heart thundering. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You're serious." "Entirely." His features smoothed back to human. "In 2 weeks, there's a gathering called the Pack Summit. You will attend as my mate, my destined partner, chosen by fate itself. You will learn our customs, convince everyone we're genuinely bonded, and help me maintain my position as Alpha. In return, you'll receive the agreed-upon sum, plus a bonus if you perform well." Chloe's mind reeled. "Why do you need to fake having a mate?" "Pack politics," Derek supplied from his position by the door. "It's complicated." "Everything about this situation will be explained on a need-to-know basis," Lucas cut in coldly. Your job is simply to play your part convincingly. Anger flared through Chloe's shock. Has anyone ever told you that you're kind of an arrogant jerk? Dead silence fell. Derek made a choking sound. Lucas's eyes widened fractionally. Clearly, he wasn't used to being spoken to that way. Sign the contract, he said finally, sliding a thick document across his desk. Derek will begin your training tomorrow morning. You'll learn everything from pack hierarchy to proper etiquette. Fail to convince anyone, and the deal is void. Chloe scanned the papers, noting the extensive confidentiality clauses. What happens if I tell someone what you are? Nothing pleasant. His tone made it clear that wasn't an idle threat. She signed. What choice did she have? Besides, who would believe her anyway? Derek will escort you out. Lucas dismissed her, already turning away. Be here at 8 a.m. sharp tomorrow. As Chloe followed Derek to the door, a breeze from the air conditioning carried her scent to Lucas. Wildflowers and sunshine, fresh and pure. His wolf suddenly surged forward, pressing against his mental barriers with unexpected interest. Lucas ruthlessly forced it down, gritting his teeth until he heard the office door close behind them. Chloe stared at the massive Georgian-style mansion, complete with manicured gardens and what looked suspiciously like a private security force patrolling the grounds. This is where Lucas lives? One of his residences, Derek corrected, leading her through ornate front doors. The pack estate serves as both training grounds and a gathering place for important pack functions. Of course it does, Chloe muttered, because being disgustingly rich and secretly a werewolf wasn't enough. The next week became a blur of lessons. Derek proved to be a patient teacher as he drilled her on pack dynamics. They sat in a wood-paneled study while he explained the intricate hierarchies. The alpha leads, followed by their beta, that's me, and then the third, which is Lucas's sister Sophia. Below that are the ranked warriors, then— Wait, Chloe interrupted, sprawled irreverently across an antique chair. You're telling me this is basically a furry corporate ladder? Derek pinched the bridge of his nose. Please don't ever say that again, especially not around Lucas. Speaking of the alpha, he appeared each evening to evaluate her progress, his disapproving frown becoming a constant fixture. Today, he stood rigid while she practiced the formal pack greeting. You're still doing it wrong, he growled. The head tilt shows submission to authority. Chloe rolled her eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. Is my groveling not grovelly enough for you? His eyes flashed gold. This isn't a joke. These traditions have existed for centuries. And they're ridiculous. Who actually cares about the exact angle of someone's neck? I care, he snarled, stepping closer. My entire pack cares. If you can't take this seriously— Lucas. A new voice interrupted their brewing argument. A striking Asian woman in a sleek business suit stood in the doorway, amusement dancing in her eyes. Are you terrorizing our new Luna already? Sophia, Lucas acknowledged his sister tightly. I'm attempting to prepare her. By looming over her? Very effective. Sophia turned to Chloe with a warm smile. I'm Sophia Chen. Don't mind my brother. He was born without a sense of humor. Chloe liked her immediately. Nice to meet someone in this pack who actually smiles, though I'm pretty sure your brother just physically cringed at the word humor. Sophia laughed delightedly while Lucas muttered something that sounded suspiciously like, "Moon, give me strength," before stalking away. The days fell into a pattern: morning lessons with Derek, afternoon protocol practice, and evening meals that doubled as etiquette training. During one such dinner, Elder Matthias made an unexpected appearance, his stern presence adding tension to an already stressful exercise in proper pack dining customs. So, Matthias addressed Chloe, tell me how you and our alpha met. Chloe froze with her soup spoon halfway to her mouth. They hadn't prepared for this question. Well, it was— She glanced at Lucas, who had gone very still. Actually, it was pretty funny. I literally ran into him while holding a giant cup of coffee. Lucas's eyes widened fractionally. Completely ruined his ridiculously expensive suit, she continued, warming to her tale. He looked ready to murder me until I told him he could send me the dry cleaning bill, as if I could afford it on my fortune teller's salary. But something just clicked. She smiled softly, selling the romance. Sometimes fate has a weird sense of humor. A fortune teller? Matthias's eyebrows rose disapprovingly. Dead silence fell. Lucas looked like he might actually shift right there at the dinner table. But then, remarkably, Matthias's stern expression cracked. A small chuckle escaped him. "You are not what I expected in a Luna," he said, something like reluctant approval in his tone. Later that night, Lucas found her in the library. "That was not entirely terrible," he admitted grudgingly. "Wow, such high praise. I'm swooning." "You're impossible," he said, but there was less bite to it than usual. "You love it," she teased, then immediately wished she hadn't when the air between them suddenly felt charged. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither spoke. Lucas cleared his throat. "Continue your lessons with Derek tomorrow. Your unconventional approach seems to be working somehow." Was that actually a compliment? "Quick, someone check if hell froze over." He turned to leave, but Chloe caught the slight upward quirk of his lips. Progress, she thought with satisfaction. Even Alpha Grumpy Pants can almost smile. The Thorne Estate's grand ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and formal evening wear. 50 pairs of eyes tracked every move as Lucas escorted Chloe through the crowd. She wore a midnight blue gown that Sophia had insisted brought out her eyes, though right now those eyes were busy taking in the elaborate scene before her. "Remember," Lucas murmured close to her ear, "you're my mate. Act natural." "Funny how act natural always makes everything feel completely unnatural," Chloe whispered back, but she plastered on a warm smile as pack members approached to greet them. To Lucas's surprise, Chloe handled the attention with unexpected grace. Where he'd expected awkward fumbling, she showed genuine interest in each person she met. She remembered names, asked about children, and laughed at their stories. Her natural warmth drew people in, making them forget to be intimidated by their alpha's mate. "And how are you finding pack life, Luna?" asked Mrs. Henderson, one of the elder pack mothers. "Please call me Chloe," she replied, touching the older woman's arm gently. "And honestly, it's overwhelming but fascinating. Though I'm still trying to convince Lucas that some traditions could use updating. Did you know there's a formal protocol just for passing the salt at dinner?" Mrs. Henderson chuckled. "Oh dear, wait until you learn about the ceremonial moon blessing for new puppies." "There's a what now?" Chloe's eyes widened comically, making several nearby pack members laugh. The moment that truly caught him off guard came when young Emma, barely 6 years old, approached Chloe with solemn curiosity. "Are you really going to be our Luna?" Emma asked, clutching her small stuffed wolf. Instead of merely bending down, Chloe knelt fully in her expensive gown, bringing herself to eye level with the child. "Well, that's a very important question. What do you think a Luna should do?" Emma considered this seriously. "Mom says Luna takes care of the pack, like a mom, but for everybody." "That's a big job," Chloe said thoughtfully. "What would you want from a Luna?" "Someone who reads stories," Emma declared, "and gives good hugs, and makes Alpha Lucas smile more. He looks grumpy a lot." Chloe laughed, and Lucas felt his throat tighten at the genuine warmth in the sound. "Those sound like excellent Luna duties to me. Especially the last one. Though between you and me, I think your Alpha is secretly a big softy under all that grumpiness." Emma giggled, and Chloe reached out to straighten the bow in her hair with natural tenderness. Lucas couldn't tear his eyes away from the scene, his wolf practically purring at the sight of his mate. No, his pretend mate, showing such instinctive care for a pack child. The traditional mate dance came next, and Lucas drew Chloe into his arms. The moment their bodies connected, electricity sparked between them. Her breath caught as his hand settled on her lower back, drawing her closer than strictly necessary. The scent of wildflowers surrounded him, making his wolf push forward eagerly. "You're good at this," he murmured as they moved across the floor. "Dancing?" she asked, slightly breathless. "All of it. Being Luna. You've impressed everyone tonight." "Even you?" She looked up at him through dark lashes, and for a moment the pretense fell away. Heat flared between them, real and undeniable. Lucas's thumb traced small circles on her back, his wolf reveling in her slight shiver. Perhaps. The drive home was thick with unspoken tension. Chloe stared out the window while Lucas gripped the steering wheel too tightly, both of them uncomfortably aware of how natural it had felt to play their roles. When he walked her to her door, she paused. "It wasn't terrible, was it? Playing mates?" "No," he admitted quietly. "It wasn't terrible at all." They stood there a moment too long before Chloe disappeared inside, leaving Lucas to drive home alone with his unsettled thoughts. The next morning, Elder Matthias appeared in his office. "The pack seems taken with your mate," he said without preamble. Lucas tensed. "And your assessment?" "Cautiously approved, though the real test comes at the summit." Matthias's eyes gleamed. "Where you'll be expected to share quarters, of course. True mates wouldn't have it any other way." Lucas kept his face carefully neutral, but his wolf stirred restlessly at the thought of sharing such intimate space with Chloe. "Of course." The massive wooden gates of the Summit Lodge swung open as Lucas's black SUV wound its way up the mountain road. Ancient evergreens towered on either side, their branches heavy with fresh snow. Chloe pressed her face against the window, taking in the impressive compound ahead, a sprawling structure of stone and timber that looked like it had grown straight from the mountainside. "This place is incredible," she breathed. As they pulled up to the entrance, attendants rushed forward to handle their luggage. Chloe noticed other expensive vehicles arriving, disgorging well-dressed werewolves who moved with the same predatory grace she'd come to recognize in Lucas. Inside, the lodge's grand foyer soared 3 stories high, dominated by a massive stone fireplace. A young beta approached them with room keys. "Alpha Thorn, Luna," he bowed slightly. "You're in the Alpha Suite, East Wing." Chloe's stomach did a nervous flip as they followed him up a curved staircase. The suite turned out to be larger than her entire apartment, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking snow-capped peaks. But her appreciation froze when she saw the bedroom. One bed. One very large, very obvious bed. "I'll take the couch," they both said simultaneously. Lucas ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "Don't be ridiculous. I'll take the couch. You take the bed." "The mighty Alpha sleeping on a couch? Won't that look suspicious?" Chloe crossed her arms. "We're supposed to be mates." "Which is exactly why I'm not sharing a bed with you," Lucas growled. "My wolf is already too—" He cut himself off abruptly. "To what?" Chloe challenged, stepping closer. Lucas's eyes flashed gold. "Just stay on your side of the suite." "Gladly." She grabbed her suitcase and stormed into the bathroom to change for the evening's welcome ceremony. An hour later, they descended to the grand hall, Chloe's arm tucked formally in Lucas's. She wore a deep green silk dress that made her eyes sparkle, while he cut an imposing figure in his black suit. As they entered, conversations hushed. "Charmed," Chloe murmured as Victor kissed her hand. Lucas's arm tightened around her waist. Next came Alpha Catherine Reeves, her silver hair swept up regally. Despite her age, power radiated from her like heat from a banked fire. Her keen eyes studied Chloe with unexpected warmth. "Welcome, child," Catherine said softly. The mate bond suits you both. Chloe felt Lucas stiffen beside her. Before she could respond, another figure shouldered his way forward, a younger wolf with aggressive energy rolling off him in waves. Marcus Baylor, Red Claw Pack, he announced, looking Chloe up and down with obvious appreciation. I must say, Thorn, you've been holding out on us. Such a delicious mate you've found. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Lucas's entire body went rigid, and a low, threatening growl rumbled from his chest. It wasn't the polite warning she'd heard him give before. This was pure animal dominance, silencing every conversation in the hall. Chloe felt the vibration of it through her whole body, and her breath caught. She'd never seen Lucas lose control like this. His eyes blazed golden, fixed on Baylor with murderous intent. Baylor stepped back, dropping his gaze in submission, though a smirk played at his lips. My apologies, Alpha Thorn, he said smoothly. No offense meant to your mate. Lucas's arm was like iron around Chloe's waist. She could feel him fighting for control, his wolf pushing dangerously close to the surface. Without thinking, she pressed closer to his side, running her hand soothingly along his arm. To her surprise, he responded immediately to her touch, some of the tension easing from his frame. The moment passed, conversations gradually resumed, but Lucas kept Chloe tucked firmly against him for the rest of the evening. Neither of them mentioned his reaction, both unsettled by how real it had felt, how naturally she'd calmed his wolf, how instinctively he'd responded to the threat to his mate. The pretense was becoming dangerously convincing. Chloe woke to sunlight streaming through the suite's massive windows. She stretched, momentarily disoriented by the luxurious surroundings, before spotting a note on the bedside table. Lucas's precise handwriting was as cold as his demeanor. Alpha meetings all morning. Protocol sessions at 2 p.m. Don't be late. L. Well, good morning to you too, sunshine, she muttered, crumpling the note. The suite felt enormous and empty without his commanding presence, even if that presence usually drove her crazy. After a quick shower and breakfast from room service, Chloe found herself wandering the lodge's ornate hallways. Werewolves of various ranks passed her, some nodding respectfully, others openly staring. She felt like an imposter in designer clothes. There you are! Sophia's familiar voice was a relief. I've been looking for you. The Lunas are having an informal gathering in the sunroom. Come on! Before Chloe could protest, Sophia linked arms with her and steered her toward a bright conservatory filled with comfortable seating and lush plants. About a dozen women were already there, some her age, others older like Catherine Reeves. Everyone, this is Chloe, Lucas's mate, Sophia announced proudly. The scrutiny was immediate and intense. Chloe felt their eyes examining everything from her posture to her clothing. A few offered welcoming smiles, but others whispered behind their hands. So tell us, one Luna asked sweetly, how did you and Lucas meet? We were all surprised he finally found his mate. Oh, Chloe started, but her attention was caught by a young woman sitting alone in the corner. She was beautiful, but painfully thin, with long dark hair partially covering her face. When she shifted slightly, Chloe glimpsed fading bruises on her wrist. Her psychic senses flared with warning, sending chills down her spine. The woman, who must be Isabel, Victor's mate, radiated fear and misery like a dark cloud. Before Chloe could find a way to approach her, the sunroom's door opened. Victor Kane stood there, somehow making even casual clothes look menacing. Isabel, darling. His voice dripped false concern. You're not feeling well. You should rest. Isabel rose immediately, head bowed. Yes, Alpha. The way she scurried to his side made Chloe's stomach turn. Victor's hand closed around Isabel's arm, right over the bruises as he led her out. Chloe could barely focus on the rest of the gathering, her mind replaying that disturbing scene. As soon as she could politely escape, she hurried back to the suite to wait for Lucas. When he finally returned that evening, she practically ambushed him. "We need to talk about Isabel Kane," she blurted out. Lucas loosened his tie with a weary sigh. "What about her?" "She's being abused. I saw bruises, and my psychic sense—" "Stop." Lucas's voice was sharp. "You need to be very careful about making accusations against another alpha." "But this is pack business, Chloe. Your human emotions are clouding your judgment." "My human emotions?" Chloe's voice rose. "You mean my basic decency? My ability to recognize abuse when I see it?" "You don't understand pack dynamics," Lucas growled. "Victor Kane is a powerful ally. We can't risk—" "Risk what? Helping someone in danger? Is pack politics more important than protecting people?" "This is exactly why I didn't want a human mate!" Lucas shouted, then froze, realizing what he'd said. Chloe recoiled as if slapped. "Well, don't worry. I'm just pretending, remember? Your reputation is safe from my embarrassing humanity." When Chloe emerged later, wrapped in a fluffy robe, they avoided eye contact. The silence was deafening as they prepared for bed, moving around each other like wary strangers. Lucas settled onto the couch, while Chloe took the bed. Hours passed, but neither could sleep. Without conscious thought, Lucas found himself shifting on the couch, drawn to her scent, her warmth. His wolf whined, wanting to be closer, to apologize, to protect. He caught himself just before he actually moved toward the bed, gripping the couch cushions until his knuckles turned white. This pretense was becoming dangerous in ways neither of them had anticipated. The morning sun filtered through towering pines as pack members gathered for the summit's traditional bonding games. Chloe tugged at her fitted athletic wear, feeling exposed among the perfectly sculpted werewolves. Lucas stood beside her, his presence both familiar and awkward after last night's argument. "Just follow my lead," he said stiffly. "Because that worked so well yesterday?" Chloe muttered. The first round had them stumbling like beginners. Lucas, blindfolded, refused to fully trust Chloe's directions, while she deliberately gave vague commands out of spite. They crashed into branches and nearly fell into a creek. "This is ridiculous," Lucas growled, yanking off his blindfold. "You need to be more precise." "You need to actually listen to me," Chloe shot back. Watching from the sidelines, Victor Kane smirked. "Trouble in paradise?" Something in his smug expression made Chloe's blood boil. She grabbed the blindfold from Lucas. "My turn. And this time, trust me, or we both look like idiots." As soon as the fabric covered her eyes, the world shifted. Her psychic senses heightened, painting the forest in her mind with ethereal clarity. She could feel Lucas's energy like a warm flame beside her. "There's a low branch," she said before he could speak. 3 steps forward, then duck. Lucas hesitated, then followed her instruction perfectly. They cleared the obstacle smoothly. "Now what?" he asked, his voice softer with surprise. "Left foot on the log, right foot on the rock. I can see it." Chloe moved with growing confidence, trusting her abilities for perhaps the first time. Lucas's hands stayed gentle but firm on her waist, steadying her. They found a rhythm, her quiet directions, his immediate response. Where other pairs struggled and argued, they flowed like water through the course. "Jump," she whispered. "I'll catch you." Without hesitation, Lucas helped her leap a wide gap, his strong arms ensuring she landed safely. The trust in that moment felt more intimate than any physical touch they'd shared. They crossed the finish line first, breathless and grinning. When Chloe pulled off the blindfold, she found Lucas staring at her with an expression she'd never seen before, open, almost wondering. Then they both started laughing, the tension of the past day dissolving in the shared triumph. Lucas's laugh was rich and warm, transforming his entire face. Chloe couldn't look away. "That was incredible," he admitted, still smiling. "How did you do that?" "I just knew." She shrugged, feeling shy suddenly. "And you trusted me." The moment stretched between them, charged with something new and delicate. Back in their suite, Lucas insisted on checking a scrape on her arm from an early stumble. His fingers were surprisingly gentle as he cleaned the small wound, his breath warm against her skin. "It's nothing," Chloe said softly, hyper-aware of his closeness. "Werewolves probably get worse scratches from puppy play." "We still bleed," Lucas murmured, his thumb brushing the edge of the scrape. "We still feel pain." She looked up to find his face inches from hers, his golden eyes intense. The air seemed to crackle between them. Lucas swayed slightly closer, and Chloe's heart thundered in her chest. Then he jerked back, nearly dropping the first aid supplies. "This should heal quickly," he said formally, his walls slamming back into place. "Remember, we need to maintain appearances, but this is still just business." He strode into the bathroom, leaving Chloe alone with her racing pulse and confused emotions. Hours later, she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The couch creaked as Lucas shifted, and she held her breath, every nerve ending aware of his presence just feet away. The memory of his hands, his laugh, the almost kiss played on repeat in her mind. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was fake, a contract, a business arrangement. But as she pressed her hands to her burning cheeks, Chloe faced the terrifying truth. Her feelings for Lucas were becoming dangerously, impossibly real. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow across the lodge's grand ballroom, illuminating the gathered werewolf elite in their finest attire. Pack members moved with natural grace, their formal wear a stark contrast to their wild nature. Chloe stood at the entrance, fidgeting with her midnight blue gown. The silk fabric flowed like water, accentuating every curve. Sophia had helped style her hair in elegant waves, leaving her neck bare in the traditional Luna style. "Stop fidgeting," Lucas murmured beside her, looking devastatingly handsome in his black tuxedo. "You look—" He paused, his eyes traveling over her with unexpected heat. "Appropriate." "Wow. Contain your enthusiasm," Chloe whispered back, but her cheeks flushed. They made their entrance together, and Chloe felt the weight of every gaze. Werewolves had a way of staring that felt more predatory than human attention, assessing and intense. They barely made it halfway across the ballroom before Elder Catherine approached, drawing Lucas into an urgent discussion about territory disputes. He squeezed Chloe's hand before following the elder alphas to a private corner. Left alone, Chloe drifted toward the champagne table. She was reaching for a glass when a large hand appeared, offering one to her. "A beautiful woman shouldn't have to serve herself," Marcus Baylor said, his smile sharp and calculating. The young alpha moved with aggressive confidence, stepping too close into her personal space. "Thank you," Chloe replied carefully, remembering Lucas's warnings about pack protocol. She couldn't outright reject another alpha's courtesy. "You're wasted on Thorn," Marcus continued, his fingers brushing her arm. "He keeps you on display like a pretty doll, but I see how restless you are. Humans are so delicate. They need special attention, proper protection." The threat in his tone was subtle but clear. Chloe's psychic senses flared with warning, picking up predatory intention behind his charm. "Lucas provides everything I need," she said firmly, trying to step back. Marcus's grip tightened slightly on her arm. "Does he? I watched you yesterday during the games. You have fire spirit. Lucas will try to control that, contain it. I would let you run wild." "Remove your hand." Lucas's voice cut through the air like ice. He stood behind them, practically vibrating with barely controlled rage. His eyes flickered between normal and wolf gold. Marcus turned slowly, deliberately maintaining his hold on Chloe. "Just getting to know your lovely mate better. She seems uncertain of her place." In one fluid motion, Lucas pulled Chloe from Marcus's grip and into his arms. Without a word, he led her onto the dance floor, his movements aggressive and possessive. His hand splayed across her lower back, holding her closer than proper protocol allowed. "You're hurting me," Chloe whispered, though it wasn't entirely true. His grip was tight but carefully controlled. Lucas loosened his hold slightly, but didn't let her create distance. "He was touching you," he growled, his wolf very close to the surface. "I can handle unwanted attention," she shot back, irritated by his caveman display. "Besides, why do you care? This is just business, remember?" Something dangerous flashed in Lucas's eyes. "You're supposed to be my mate. You should act like it." Lucas went very still. The music continued around them, but they stood frozen in their own bubble of tension. His eyes locked onto her lips, and Chloe watched his legendary control splinter. When he kissed her, it wasn't gentle. It was punishment and claiming and desperate need all at once. His hands tangled in her hair, destroying Sophia's careful styling as he devoured her mouth with dominant intensity. Chloe kissed him back just as fiercely, pouring all her confusion and attraction and frustration into it. She bit his lower lip, and his growl vibrated through her entire body. The ballroom erupted in appreciative howls and whistles, breaking through their passionate haze. They separated slowly, both breathing hard. Lucas's eyes were fully gold now, his hands still gripping her possessively. Looking into his face, Chloe saw her own shock reflected there. Nothing about that kiss had been pretend. The raw authenticity of their response had shattered the careful walls between truth and deception. Around them, the party continued, but they remained locked in place, stunned by what had just happened and unable to look away from each other. The grand ballroom had mostly emptied as midnight approached, with only a few lingering couples swaying to the last soft melodies. Chloe's feet ached from dancing, and her mind still spun from that earth-shattering kiss hours earlier. Lucas had maintained careful distance since then, but she caught him watching her with heated intensity when he thought she wasn't looking. "We should head back to the suite," Lucas said, his voice low and controlled again. "Tomorrow's ceremonies start early." Before Chloe could respond, an explosion rocked the building's foundation. The remaining crystal chandeliers swayed dangerously, and screams erupted from the floors above. Lucas immediately pushed Chloe behind him as another blast shattered the ballroom's windows, sending glass spraying across the polished floor. "Rouge wolves!" someone shouted. All around them, werewolves began shifting into their combat forms, clothes tearing as fur erupted and bodies transformed. "Stay close to me," Lucas ordered, but smoke was already filling the room. The acrid scent burned Chloe's lungs as chaos erupted. Through the haze, she saw massive wolf forms charging each other, heard the terrible sounds of combat and pain. "Lucas!" she screamed, but her voice was lost in the mayhem. The heat was becoming unbearable as flames spread rapidly through the wooden lodge. She stumbled down a hallway, trying to find an exit, but the smoke was too thick to see clearly. A cracking sound above made her dive forward just as part of the ceiling collapsed behind her. She was trapped now, flames on one side, debris on the other. "Such a shame," a familiar voice drawled through the smoke. Marcus Baylor emerged, his expensive suit gone, wearing only torn dress pants. His eyes gleamed with predatory satisfaction. "You really are quite lovely. But Lucas and the other alphas need to learn that the old ways are dead, starting with their precious human mates." Horror dawned as Chloe realized the truth. "This attack, it's you, your pack." Marcus smiled cruelly. "The Red Claw Pack will lead our kind into a new era. No more hiding, no more weak alliances, but first..." His body began to shift, bones cracking as he transformed into a massive russet-colored wolf. "We eliminate the competition." Terror froze Chloe in place as the wolf advanced. Her back hit the wall, and something inside her snapped. Power she didn't know she possessed exploded outward in a blast of white light. It slammed into Marcus, throwing his wolf form backward with a yelp of surprise. But before he could recover, the wall beside Chloe exploded inward. Through the debris burst a black wolf larger than any she'd ever seen. Lucas's wolf form was magnificent and terrifying, midnight fur bristling with rage, golden eyes burning with feral fury. He launched himself at Marcus with savage force, all pretense of controlled fighting abandoned. This wasn't tactical combat, it was primal, violent protection. His jaws clamped around Marcus's throat as they crashed through what remained of the hallway. The moment Lucas's wolf engaged Marcus, something extraordinary happened. Golden light burst between Chloe and Lucas like a physical force. She dropped to her knees as foreign emotions and sensations flooded her mind. Lucas's blind panic when he'd lost her in the smoke, his wolf's murderous rage at finding Marcus threatening her, an overwhelming surge of mind protect mate that defied human language. Lucas staggered in his attack as he felt it too. Chloe's terror, her pain from the smoke, her bone-deep relief at seeing him crash through that wall. The mating bond slammed into place between them with the force of a lightning strike, burning away all pretense and deception. Real. It was all real. They both collapsed under the bond's intensity as it forged an unbreakable connection between them. Through the golden light linking their minds, Chloe felt Lucas's wolf howl in triumph and claiming. Her psychic senses exploded with new awareness of him, of them, of everything they could be together. Through the smoky haze of early dawn, Derek and Sophia found them first. Lucas and Chloe were still kneeling in the destroyed hallway, stunned by the bond that pulsed between them like a living thing. "We need to move now," Derek shouted over the roar of flames. The ceiling groaned ominously above them. "This whole wing is about to come down." Lucas shook himself from the daze first. Without speaking, he scooped Chloe into his arms. She pressed her face against his chest, and both gasped at the electric sensation of skin contact. The bond flared brighter, making it hard to think. Sophia led the way through the burning lodge, Derek covering their rear. Outside, the lawn had transformed into an emergency triage center. Pack medics rushed between makeshift treatment areas while security teams maintained a protective perimeter. The crisp mountain air was thick with smoke and the metallic scent of blood. "Over here," a medic called, gesturing to an open spot in one of the medical tents. Lucas tried to set Chloe down on the cot, but his wolf howled in protest at breaking contact. He compromised by sitting beside her, keeping one hand on her shoulder. The touch sent warm ripples through the bond. "Marcus?" Lucas asked Derek hoarsely, his first word since the bond snapped into place. "Dead," Derek confirmed. "Most of his conspirators were killed in the fighting. We captured 3 alive for questioning. The Red Claw Pack's entire leadership was involved in the coup attempt." Sophia handed them both blankets, her eyes wide as she studied them. "It's true then? A real mating bond?" Neither Lucas nor Chloe answered, but the golden energy humming between them was answer enough. They couldn't stop staring at each other, caught in the gravity of their new connection. Through the bond, Chloe felt Lucas's iron control cracking, tasted his panic at how completely his carefully laid plans had imploded. Lucas sensed Chloe's terror and disbelief, her mind still struggling to accept that werewolves were real, let alone that she was now permanently bonded to their alpha. Derek crouched in front of them, his expression grave. "I've seen enough mating bonds to recognize a true one. This isn't something that can be undone or ignored. The contract, the pretense, none of that matters now. You're genuine mates." "That's not possible," Lucas said, but his voice lacked conviction. His wolf was already singing Mind Mate Forever through their shared consciousness. "This wasn't supposed to happen." Chloe gave a slightly hysterical laugh. "None of this was supposed to happen. I was just supposed to play pretend for a week and get paid. Now I'm magically soul bonded to a werewolf? This is insane." Lucas reached for her face without thinking, an instinctive need to comfort his mate. The moment his fingers brushed her cheek, a jolt of pure sensation rocked them both. Chloe's breath caught, and Lucas jerked his hand back as if burned. The intensity of even that small touch was overwhelming. "The bond is still settling," Sophia explained gently. "The first few days are the strongest, especially with physical contact. It will stabilize eventually." A commotion at the tent's entrance drew their attention. Elder Matthias strode in, his formal clothes smudged with soot but his bearing as commanding as ever. His sharp eyes took in Lucas and Chloe's positions, the visible golden energy between them, and his expression hardened. "Alpha Thorn," he said formally, "the emergency council will convene in 1 hour. Your presence is required to address tonight's attack and its unexpected developments." His gaze flicked meaningfully to Chloe. Lucas's spine stiffened. Through the bond, Chloe felt his alpha authority reasserting itself, pushing back against the vulnerability of their connection. "I'll be there," he said coldly. Matthias nodded and swept out. Lucas stood, though it visibly pained him to put distance between himself and Chloe. She felt the bond stretch like a rubber band, protesting the separation. "Rest," he told her, his voice rough. "Derek and Sophia will stay with you. I need to—" He trailed off, overwhelmed by the competing demands of duty and the mating bond's pull. Chloe hugged the blanket tighter around herself, feeling very small and lost. She watched Lucas stride away, his shoulders rigid with tension, and wondered how her life had spiraled so completely out of control in the space of one night. The emergency council gathered in one of the lodge's undamaged conference rooms, tension thick in the air. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, highlighting the ash and debris that still clung to everyone's formal clothes. 10 elders sat at the long table, their faces grave, while Alpha Catherine Reeves occupied the head position with quiet authority. Lucas stood before them, his hand linked with Chloe's. Through their new bond, she felt his carefully controlled anxiety, the way he constructed each word in his mind before speaking. "The mating bond formed during the attack," Lucas explained, his voice steady. "When Marcus threatened Chloe, our connection crystallized. I felt her danger, her fear, and my wolf responded with absolute certainty. She is my true mate." Elder Matthias leaned forward, his eyes sharp. "And yet, you only recently introduced her to the pack. Why keep such a relationship secret?" "We were taking time to know each other," Lucas said carefully. "Given the complex politics between packs, I wanted to be certain before making any announcements." Chloe felt his tension spike through the bond. The partial truth scraped against both their consciences, but revealing the original deception now would destroy everything. She squeezed his hand, lending silent support. "The timing is certainly convenient," Matthias pressed, "just when you faced pressure to produce a mate. If I may speak." Elder Catherine's quiet voice cut through the tension. All eyes turned to her weathered face. "I witnessed something extraordinary during the attack. This young woman manifested a protective shield of considerable power. Her gift saved several pack members, including my own grandson." Murmurs rippled through the assembled elders. Catherine continued, "Such abilities are rare, even among werewolves. Perhaps the moon goddess had her reasons for choosing a human mate for Alpha Thorn." "Pack law discourages human mates," Matthias countered. "The dilution of bloodlines—" "I didn't choose this," Chloe's voice rang out, surprising even herself. Through the bond, she felt Lucas's flash of alarm, but she continued, "I didn't ask to be thrown into your world of werewolves and pack politics. I didn't expect to form a magical bond that I can feel humming in my bones right now." She took a deep breath, meeting each elder's gaze. "But it happened. The bond is real. I feel it, and so does Lucas. I know I have everything to learn about being Luna, about pack life and traditions. I know I'm human, and that makes some of you uncomfortable. But I will honor this bond. I will learn. I will work every day to be worthy of this role. if you give me the chance to prove myself." Silence fell. Through the bond, Lucas radiated a complex mix of pride, worry, and something deeper he wasn't ready to name. Elder Catherine's eyes crinkled with approval, while Matthias sat back, studying Chloe with new consideration. After a long moment, Catherine spoke again. "I propose a traditional trial period, 3 months for the new Luna to learn our ways and demonstrate her commitment to the pack. If she proves worthy, the bond will receive full recognition. If not," she left the consequences unspoken. "I second this proposal," said another elder, nodding thoughtfully. "Those in favor?" Catherine asked. One by one, hands raised. Even Matthias, though his expression remained guarded, lifted his hand in agreement. "It is decided, then," Catherine declared. "Luna Chloe will have 3 months to prove herself, starting today. Alpha Thorn, you will oversee her training in pack law and customs. Monthly reports on her progress will be required." Lucas inclined his head. "Understood, honored elders. Thank you for your wisdom in this matter." They left the conference room together, walking in silence through the damaged lodge. Their joined hands swung between them, neither willing to break the physical connection that seemed to stabilize the overwhelming new bond. The reality of their situation pressed in. What had started as a business arrangement was now an unbreakable spiritual connection, sealed by forces beyond their control. Their footsteps echoed in the empty hallway as they processed the weight of everything that had just happened. 3 months to transform their fake relationship into something real, to turn Chloe from an outsider into a true Luna. Through the bond, their shared anxiety and uncertainty mingled with fragments of other emotions neither was ready to acknowledge. The Thorn estate loomed before them as Lucas's car pulled into the circular driveway. Chloe stared up at what was now her home, a massive stone mansion surrounded by manicured gardens and ancient oaks. Her small apartment above the psychic shop seemed like a lifetime ago. "Your things have been moved to the east wing," Lucas said stiffly, keeping his distance as they entered the foyer. Through their new bond, she felt his rigid self-control warring with the wolf's desire to be closer. "Sophia arranged everything." "Thank you," Chloe replied, equally formal. The bond hummed between them like a live wire, making even casual conversation charged with awareness. The first few days established an awkward routine. Lucas threw himself into pack business, spending long hours in his study or at Thorn Industries. Chloe began her Luna training with Sophia, who proved to be a patient teacher. "The Luna's role is about connection," Sophia explained during one lesson in the estate's library. "You're the heart of the pack, the bridge between alpha and members." Chloe took to it naturally. Her genuine interest in people's lives and ability to listen without judgment drew pack members to her. She organized weekly family dinners, started a youth mentoring program, and made time to visit elderly pack members who couldn't travel easily. But living with Lucas was torture. The bond demanded closeness while they fought for distance. Simply passing in hallways sent electricity crackling between them. At night, lying alone in her too large bed, Chloe could feel Lucas's matching restlessness through their connection. 2 weeks after moving in, Chloe hosted her first formal pack dinner. The great dining hall buzzed with conversation as families gathered around the long tables. Lucas sat at the head table, watching Chloe move through the room with growing confidence. Little Emma broke away from her parents, running up to Chloe with a flower crown made of daisies. "For you, Luna Chloe, because you're the best Luna ever." The room fell silent. Such a declaration from a pup carried weight in pack culture. Chloe knelt down, letting Emma place the crown on her head. "Thank you, sweetheart. That means so much to me." Warm laughter and approval rippled through the room. Through the bond, Chloe felt Lucas's careful control crack, a wave of pride and something deeper washing over her. She looked up to find his golden eyes fixed on her, intense and vulnerable. That night, unable to sleep, Chloe sat curled in the window seat of her room, watching the moon rise over the estate grounds. A soft knock made her heart jump. She knew it was Lucas before he opened the door. He stood in the doorway, looking uncertain for the first time since she'd known him. "I can't," he started, then tried again. "The wolf won't let me stay away anymore." "Then don't," Chloe said simply. He crossed the room slowly, settling beside her in the window seat. "I thought keeping my distance would make this easier for you. You never asked for any of this. The bond, the pack, me. I'm choosing it now," she replied. "Every day when I work with the pack, when I feel how right this is becoming, I'm choosing it. But you have to let me." Lucas reached out, touching her face with trembling fingers. The bond sang between them, pure and bright. "I'm terrified," he admitted roughly, "of how much I need you, of failing you, of how quickly you've become essential." Chloe leaned into his touch. "I'm scared too, but we're stronger together. I feel that through the bond. Stop fighting it. Stop fighting us." He pulled her into his arms, and for the first time, they both stopped resisting the bond's pull. They lay down together on her bed, fully clothed, simply holding each other. Lucas buried his face in her hair, breathing in her scent, while Chloe pressed her ear to his chest, listening to his steady heartbeat. "Stay," she whispered, already half asleep, surrounded by his warmth. His arms tightened around her. "Always," he promised, and they drifted off together, the bond humming with peaceful contentment for the first time since it formed. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Lucas's study as he reviewed pack reports, occasionally glancing through the bond to feel Chloe's contentment as she worked in the garden with some of the pack children. The past week had brought a careful peace between them, the bond growing stronger as they stopped fighting its pull. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," Lucas called, recognizing Derek's scent. His beta's face was grim as he placed a thick manila envelope on the desk. "This arrived by courier. No return address, but it's marked urgent and confidential." Lucas opened the envelope, and his world tilted on its axis. Photos spilled across his desk. Surveillance shots of Chloe meeting with known Red Claw pack members months before the summit. Bank statements showed regular deposits to her account from shell companies linked to Marcus Baylor's territory. A detailed timeline suggested her psychic shop had been established specifically to gather intelligence on the Thorn Pack. "This can't be real," Lucas growled, his hands shaking as he examined each damning piece of evidence. Before he could process further, his phone rang. Elder Matthias. "I've received similar documents," the elder said without preamble. "The council convenes in 1 hour. Bring your mate." Lucas's wolf howled in confused anguish as he reached through the bond to locate Chloe. She was still in the garden, laughing as she helped Emma plant flowers. The sight of her, so natural with his pack, so seemingly genuine, made his chest ache. "Chloe," he called, keeping his voice steady. "We need to talk." She looked up, smile fading as she felt his turmoil through the bond. "What's wrong?" In his study, Lucas spread the evidence before her. "Explain this." Chloe's face drained of color as she looked at the photos. These are fake. I've never met these people. I've never even been to these places." "The timestamps and locations are authenticated," Derek said quietly. "And the financial records?" "I don't know where this money came from." Chloe's voice cracked with panic. "Lucas, you can feel I'm telling the truth. Use the bond." He could feel her genuine confusion and growing terror, but the evidence before him was overwhelming. "The council is meeting to review everything. They'll want answers." "This is insane," Chloe whispered, tears filling her eyes. After everything we've been through, how can you doubt me? The council chamber was already full when they arrived. Elder Matthias stood at the head of the long table, the incriminating documents spread before him. Other elders whispered among themselves, shooting dark looks at Chloe. The evidence suggests a long-term infiltration operation, Matthias announced. The human was positioned months in advance, waiting for an opportunity to infiltrate the Thorn Pack. The summit attack may have gone wrong, but her placement was successful. That's not true, Chloe protested. I had never even heard of werewolves before Derek walked into my shop. Can you provide alibis for these dates? An elder demanded, pointing to the surveillance photos. Chloe's shoulders slumped. No, I lived alone, worked alone. I can't prove where I wasn't. The council cannot ignore such a security breach, Matthias declared. By pack law, she must be detained while we investigate fully. Lucas stepped forward, struggling against his wolf's desperate need to protect her. She's my mate. The bond could be compromised by whatever magic or manipulation she used, Matthias cut in. Alpha Thorn, you have a choice to make. Publicly reject the bond now and retain your position, or risk everything if she's proven guilty of treason. 2 guards approached Chloe. Through the bond, Lucas felt her panic spike. Lucas, please, she begged. You know me. You feel what I feel. This isn't real. As the guards took her arms, Chloe looked back at him, tears streaming down her face. The bond transmitted her anguish like physical blows. Betrayal, heartbreak, desperate love tangled with crushing disappointment. Lucas nearly staggered under the weight of it. Take her to the secure quarters, Matthias ordered. Alpha Thorn needs time to consider his position. Lucas watched them lead Chloe away, her pain echoing through their connection until the distance muted it to a dull ache. His wolf clawed at his insides, demanding he stop this, protect mate. But the evidence before him seemed irrefutable. You have until tomorrow to decide, Matthias said quietly. Choose wisely, Alpha. The pack must come first. Lucas paced his office like a caged animal, his chest burning with each breath. 3 days without Chloe felt like dying, the mate bond stretching and fraying between them. He tried to focus on the documents scattered across his desk, but the words blurred before his eyes. You look terrible, Derek said from the doorway, concern etching his features. I'm fine, Lucas growled, but his legs buckled, sending him crashing to his knees. The pain was excruciating, like molten lead in his veins. Derek rushed forward, catching him before he hit the floor. This is bond poisoning. You're rejecting your mate, and it's killing you both. The evidence? Lucas gasped, but another wave of agony cut him off. Through the damaged bond, he could feel echoes of Chloe's suffering, her isolation and despair mixing with his own pain until he couldn't tell where his torment ended and hers began. What's happening? Sophia's voice cut through the haze. She took in the scene, her brother trembling on the floor, skin ashen and eyes flickering between human and wolf. Oh, you absolute idiot. The sharp crack of her palm against his cheek shocked Lucas back to awareness. How dare you doubt her? Sophia raged. I've watched that woman pour her heart into this pack for weeks. She loves those children, respects our traditions while making them better, and would die protecting any one of us. And you're letting some convenient photos destroy everything? The council is afraid of change, Sophia cut him off. And you're so wrapped up in being the perfect alpha that you can't see what's right in front of you? When has Chloe ever been anything but honest? Even when it would have been easier to lie? Lucas's wolf whined, remembering Chloe's unflinching directness, her refusal to play politics, the way she challenged him to be better. In her detention quarters, Chloe curled into a ball on the narrow bed, her body racked with fever. The bond's deterioration felt like being torn apart from the inside. But as the physical pain peaked, something else happened. Her psychic barriers shattered. Visions flooded her mind. Elder Matthias in a dimly lit room, passing folders to a shadowy figure. The human problem must be addressed, his voice echoed. The young alphas are too willing to adapt, too eager to change traditions. Marcus's aggression made him the perfect scapegoat, but the summit attack was just the beginning. More fragments cascaded through her mind, doctored photos being created, bank records being falsified, careful plans to discredit her and force Lucas to choose between love and duty. The conspiracy went deeper than anyone suspected. Desperate, Chloe reached for the fraying bond. If she could just show Lucas what she'd seen. In his office, Lucas jerked upright as images slammed into his mind. He saw through Chloe's psychic sight, watched Matthias plotting, saw the evidence being manufactured, felt the truth of her visions with bone-deep certainty. "She's innocent," he breathed, staggering to his feet. It was Matthias all along. "What are you going to do about it?" Sophia demanded. Lucas's eyes blazed gold, his wolf surging forward with renewed strength. "Get my mate back." He stormed through the estate, Derek and Sophia flanking him. The guards at the detention facility tried to stop him, but Lucas's alpha command rolled over them like thunder. "Stand down!" They crumpled, submission instinct overriding their orders. Lucas ripped the door open and found Chloe huddled on the bed, pale and shaking. The moment their eyes met, the bond flared back to life. "I'm sorry," he choked out, gathering her into his arms. "I'm so sorry." "We have to run," she whispered against his chest. "Matthias, he's behind everything, the summit attack, the evidence, all of it. He's trying to force out any alpha who supports modernizing pack law." "I know, I saw." Lucas pressed his face into her hair, breathing in her scent. "Derek, get the cars ready." "Sophia." "I'll cover your escape and start gathering allies." His sister nodded. "But you need to move now, before the council realizes what's happening." Lucas lifted Chloe, who was too weak to walk. Through their renewed connection, he could feel her determination despite her exhaustion. They weren't just running for their lives, they were running to save their pack from those who would corrupt it from within. "Stay with me," he murmured against her temple as they hurried through the darkened halls. Chloe's fingers curled into his shirt. "Always." The cabin's rustic interior felt claustrophobic despite its open floor plan. Lucas watched Chloe through pain-glazed eyes as she huddled near the stone fireplace, wrapped in blankets yet still shivering. The bond poisoning was getting worse. He could feel it eating away at them both like acid in his veins. "The security system's active," Derek announced, returning from his perimeter check. "No one's following us, but we shouldn't stay here more than a day or two." Sophia paced the worn wooden floors, her phone pressed to her ear. "I understand the risk, but I need those records. Yes, complete confidentiality." She ended the call with a frustrated growl. "My contact in pack accounting will help, but it'll take time we don't have." "We need to move faster," Lucas ground out, another wave of pain making him brace against the wall. Through their damaged bond, he felt an answering surge of agony from Chloe. "I can try to see more," Chloe offered weakly. "If I focus—" "You can barely stand," Lucas protested. "Neither can you," she shot back. "But we're dead anyway if we don't find proof." Her determination flowed through their fraying connection, strengthening them both momentarily. Derek set up his laptop at the kitchen table, fingers flying over the keyboard. "I'm tracking Matthias's known shell companies, but he's careful. The money trail's encrypted." "Then we go deeper," Sophia said, pulling out her phone again. "I've got 3 pack families willing to talk about strange meetings, unexplained orders." Chloe pushed herself up, swaying slightly. "Help me to the couch," she told Lucas. "I need to try something." Despite his instinct to protect her, Lucas supported her across the room. As soon as they touched, the bond hummed with relief. But it wasn't enough. They needed full trust, full acceptance to heal it completely. "What are you planning?" he asked as she settled onto the weathered leather couch. A focused vision, not waiting for fragments to come to me, but actively seeking. She looked up at him, eyes fever bright. "I need you to anchor me. The bond, even damaged, should let you ground me while I search." Lucas sat beside her, their shoulders touching. "Tell me what to do." "Just hold on to me. Don't let me get lost." She took his hand, twining their fingers together. Chloe closed her eyes, her breathing slowing. Lucas felt the moment she slipped into the trance, their bond stretched like silk, carrying her consciousness away while he held fast to her physical presence. Through their connection, he caught flashes of what she witnessed. Matthias in his private study, speaking urgently to a shadowed figure. The scene crystallized, showing Victor Kane stepping into the light. "The summit attack served its purpose," Matthias was saying. "Marcus's aggression made him the perfect puppet. Now his death leaves his pack leaderless, ready for restructuring." "And the human?" Victor's cold voice asked. "The evidence is placed. Lucas's reputation for control works against him. The council expects perfection. When he falls, the other young alphas will be easier to remove. Change must be stopped before they destroy everything we've built." "The other packs are already destabilizing," Victor smiled. "Amazing what a few well-placed rumors can do." The vision shifted, showing more meetings, more plots, pack territories being redrawn, power consolidated under elder control, modernization efforts systematically dismantled. Suddenly, Chloe convulsed. Lucas caught her as she pitched forward, her skin burning hot against his. The vision had taken too much of her depleted strength. "Victor," she gasped out. "He's working with Matthias. They planned everything. Marcus was just a pawn. They want to take control of all the packs, stop them from evolving. The summit attack, the evidence against me, it's all part of their plan." "Easy," Lucas soothed, gathering her closer as tremors racked her body. The bond throbbed between them, raw and bleeding. "Derek—" "Already tracing Victor's accounts," Derek confirmed grimly. "If they're working together, there has to be a money trail." "And I'll have the pack families focus on any connections to Victor," Sophia added, typing rapidly on her phone. Chloe's hand fisted in Lucas's shirt as another wave of bond sickness hit them both. "We're running out of time," she whispered. Lucas pressed his forehead to hers, feeling the fever burning through her. The bond could kill them both if they didn't heal it soon, but that required absolute trust, something he'd shattered by doubting her. "I know," he murmured. "I know." The first pale light of dawn crept through the cabin windows, casting long shadows across the wooden floors. Lucas and Chloe sat before the dying fireplace, their bodies weak from the bond poisoning, but their minds finally clear. The time for secrets had passed. "I need to tell you everything," Lucas said, his voice rough with exhaustion. "From the beginning." Chloe turned to face him, wrapping the blanket tighter around her shoulders. Through their damaged bond, he felt her openness, her willingness to listen despite their pain. "When Matthias gave me the ultimatum about finding a mate, I was desperate," Lucas began. "I thought I could outsmart tradition, hire someone to pretend, just long enough to secure my position." He met her eyes. "That's why Derek came to your shop. I chose you because you seemed perfect for the role, not knowing—" His voice cracked. "Not knowing you would become everything to me." "Lucas," Chloe started, but he shook his head. "The shame of that deception has been eating at me. You deserved better than to be tricked into this world. And now the bond is killing us because I couldn't trust what was right in front of me." Chloe reached for his hand, and even that small contact sent sparks of relief through their fraying connection. "I have confessions too," she whispered. "I'm terrified, Lucas, not just of dying from this bond sickness, but of failing if we survive. How can I be Luna? I'm human. I barely understand pack politics, and every time I try to fit in, I feel like I'm losing pieces of myself." Tears slid down her cheeks. "The pack deserves someone stronger, someone who knows this world, and you deserve a mate who isn't scared all the time." "Chloe." Lucas lifted his hand to her face, brushing away her tears. The touch sent warmth flooding through them both. "You're the strongest person I know. You faced an alpha werewolf with nothing but attitude and wit. You survived an attack that brought down trained warriors. You've won my pack's hearts just by being yourself." She leaned into his touch. "I never expected to fall in love with you," she admitted softly. "When this started, you were just the arrogant CEO who was paying my rent. But watching you lead, seeing how much you care about your pack behind that cold mask, the bond didn't make me love you, Lucas. I chose that all on my own." Something broke open in Lucas's chest, the last wall of his careful control crumbling. "I love you," he said roughly. "Not because fate decided it, not because of pack politics. I love your defiance and your compassion and the way you challenge everything I thought I knew." Chloe surged forward, pressing her lips to his. The kiss was like lightning, their bond flaring golden bright between them. Lucas pulled her into his lap, one hand tangling in her hair as the other pressed her closer. "Choose me," he breathed against her mouth. "Not because of the bond, not because we're dying. Choose me because you want to." "Yes," she gasped. "Yes, I choose you. All of you, alpha, wolf, man." Their next kiss ignited something deeper. The mating bond, damaged but not destroyed, burst open between them as they came together fully for the first time. Golden light filled the cabin as their souls merged completely. Chloe's psychic power flowing into Lucas's alpha strength, his wolf essence embracing her human spirit until there was no separation between them. When the light faded, they lay tangled together before the fireplace, the bond poisoning burned away by the pure power of their connection. Lucas could feel Chloe's heartbeat as if it were his own, could sense her thoughts brushing against his mind like silk. "I can feel everything," Chloe whispered in awe. "The pack bonds, the territory boundaries. I can see them all." Lucas pressed a kiss to her shoulder, marveling at how his alpha power had doubled, amplified by her psychic abilities. "We're stronger together," he said. "Whatever comes next." The cabin door burst open. Derek stood in the doorway, his expression grim. "Matthias called an emergency alpha gathering for tonight," he said quickly. "He's moving to strip your title and exile you both." The main doors of Thorn Tower's council chamber burst open with a thunderous crack. Lucas strode in first, power radiating from him in waves that made the air shimmer. Chloe walked beside him, her hand firmly in his, their newly strengthened bond glowing golden between them. Derek and Sophia flanked them like royal guards, faces set with determination. The assembled council members jerked to attention. Elder Matthias sat at the head of the long table, his face darkening at their entrance. Elder Catherine watched with sharp interest, while other pack representatives shifted nervously in their seats. Victor Kane lurked in a shadowy corner, his usual smooth confidence notably absent. "This gathering is closed to exiles," Matthias announced coldly. "Surrender now, and the council may show mercy." Lucas's laugh held no humor. "Mercy? Like the mercy you showed when you orchestrated an attack that killed innocent pack members?" "Baseless accusations," Matthias sneered. But his heart rate spiked. Through their bond, Chloe felt his fear spike. He hadn't expected them to return so boldly. Derek stepped forward, dropping a thick file onto the council table. Bank records showing regular payments from offshore accounts controlled by Elder Matthias to Marcus Baylor's pack over the past 6 months. He spread out more documents. Phone logs proving coordination of the summit attack timing, email trails linking you both to Victor Kane's involvement. The council members leaned forward, murmuring as they examined the evidence. Matthias's face remained stone still, but his fingers twitched. "Fabricated," he declared, "just like the human's supposed powers." Chloe released Lucas's hand and walked directly to Elder Catherine. "Let me show you the truth," she said quietly. "My visions don't lie." Catherine studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Chloe placed her hands on either side of the elder's face, channeling her psychic sight. Golden light flared between them as Catherine gasped, witnessing Matthias's secret meetings, his whispered plots, his calculated manipulation of Marcus's aggression. When Chloe stepped back, Catherine's eyes were wide. "The girl speaks truth," she announced to the council. "I saw it myself. Her power is genuine." A chair scraped suddenly against the floor as Victor Kane made a break for the door. But Lucas had anticipated this. Pack warriors emerged from the hallway, blocking every exit. Victor backed against the wall, his composure completely shattered. "It was his idea," Victor pointed at Matthias, panic breaking his voice. "The whole plan to destabilize the packs, to force Lucas out—" "Silence!" Matthias roared, surging to his feet. His careful mask of authority crumbled, revealing the desperate rage beneath. He turned to Lucas, lips curled back from his teeth. "You want to take everything I've built? Then face me properly, pup. I challenge you to single combat for the alpha position. By ancient law, you must accept." The council chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Single combat was rarely invoked, a fight to submission or death between wolves, with the winner claiming absolute authority. Lucas's wolf surged forward, making his eyes blaze gold. "I accept." Within minutes, the entire gathering had moved to the estate's fighting ring, a circular arena surrounded by stone walls, used for training and formal challenges. Pack members who sensed the commotion gathered in the viewing galleries, tension thick in the air. Lucas stripped off his shirt, rolling his shoulders as he stepped into the ring. Matthias did the same, his older frame still rippling with deadly muscle. They began to circle each other, partially shifting, claws extending, fangs dropping, wolves rising to the surface. Chloe pressed against the barrier wall, her heart pounding. But as Lucas's mind brushed hers through their bond, she steadied herself. They were stronger together now. She opened herself fully to her psychic sight, letting it flow through their connection to Lucas. Matthias struck first, lunging with supernatural speed. But through Chloe's power, Lucas saw the attack coming a split second before it happened, a flash of precognition that let him twist away just in time. The elder's claws sliced air instead of flesh. Confusion flickered across Matthias's face as Lucas evaded another lightning-fast strike. He wasn't just defending, he was moving before each attack began, as if he could read Matthias's intentions. The elder werewolf's frustration mounted as Lucas stayed one step ahead, using Chloe's foresight to anticipate every move. Matthias's massive gray wolf form launched at Lucas with decades of combat experience behind every strike. His jaws snapped inches from Lucas's throat as they crashed together in a fury of claws and fangs. The gathered pack members pressed against the barriers, their collective breath held as Alpha and Challenger tore into each other. Lucas shifted fully into his black wolf form, larger than Matthias, but facing an opponent who had survived countless challenges. Matthias's claws raked across Lucas's flank, drawing first blood. The elder wolf's fighting style was ruthless and efficient, each move designed to kill. But something was different about Lucas now. Every time Matthias's attacks drew blood or sent him stumbling, golden light pulsed through the mating bond. Chloe's strength and love flowed into him like liquid sunshine, healing his wounds faster than normal and filling him with renewed purpose. Their combined power made him practically unstoppable. "Get up, my love," Chloe whispered, her hands pressed against the barrier. Through their bond, Lucas felt her unwavering faith in him, and it was better than any battle cry. Matthias slammed Lucas into the arena wall, stone cracking under the impact, But before he could press his advantage, Lucas twisted away with impossible speed, Chloe's psychic warning giving him precious seconds of foresight. The elder wolf's frustration mounted as Lucas seemed to anticipate his every move. Suddenly, Chloe's psychic senses screamed danger. Her gaze snapped to movement in the crowd, one of Matthias's loyalists reaching inside his jacket. "Derek, above you!" she shouted. "He's got a weapon!" Derek spun instantly, tackling the would-be assassin before he could interfere. The disruption distracted Matthias for a crucial moment, and Lucas seized his opportunity. His massive black form crashed into Matthias's side, powerful jaws clamping around the elder's throat. The fight stilled. Lucas held Matthias pinned, his teeth pressing against vital arteries. One bite would end it all. The crowd waited in tense silence for the killing blow that was Lucas's right as victor. But through their bond, Chloe felt Lucas's shift in intention. His wolf's rage was tempered by something greater, wisdom born from love, the kind of leadership that came from choosing a better path. Lucas released his grip and stepped back, shifting to his human form. Blood ran from various wounds, but he stood tall as he addressed the fallen elder. "Submit and accept exile," Lucas commanded, his voice carrying across the silent arena. "Your life will be spared, but you'll never return to any allied pack lands." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Offering mercy to a challenger was almost unheard of. Matthias shifted back to human form, his body battered and his pride shattered. For a long moment, he remained on his knees, struggling with his choice. Finally, Matthias lowered his head. "I submit to the alpha of the Thorn Pack," he growled through clenched teeth. Elder Catherine stepped forward, her voice ringing with authority. "The challenge is concluded. Lucas Thorn retains his position as alpha." She turned to address the gathered packs. "Furthermore, I officially recognize Chloe Thorn as true Luna of the Thorn Pack. Her trial period ended by her actions here today." Pack warriors moved to arrest Victor Kane, who didn't resist as they led him away. Isabel, his former mate, approached Chloe with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," Isabel whispered. "You were the only one who saw my pain." She straightened, newfound strength in her bearing. "The Nightshade Pack Council has appointed me as interim alpha. I hope we can build a better alliance between our packs." As guards escorted Matthias away to begin his exile, Lucas made his way to Chloe. Despite his injuries, he pulled her into his arms, their bond singing with triumph and love. The gathered packs erupted in cheers and howls of approval, accepting their Alpha and Luna's victory. The late summer breeze carried the scent of wildflowers across the transformed Thorn Estate grounds. White and silver decorations adorned every surface, twinkling in the afternoon light. Pack members and allies from distant territories filled the ceremonial garden, their excitement buzzing through the air like electricity. Inside the estate's preparation room, Sophia made final adjustments to Chloe's gown, a masterpiece of flowing white silk embroidered with silver wolves running along the hem and bodice. The dress honored both her human heritage and her place in the pack, just as today's ceremony would blend both worlds. "You look absolutely perfect," Sophia said, stepping back with misty eyes. "I never thought I'd see my brother this happy." Chloe touched the mate mark on her neck, feeling Lucas's anticipation through their bond. "I never thought I'd be here," she admitted. "From fake mate to real Luna. It sounds crazy even now." "Not crazy," Sophia corrected. "Fate." Little Emma bounced into the room in her flower girl dress, clutching a basket of white rose petals. "Aunt Chloe, everyone's ready." The ceremony space took Chloe's breath away as she approached. Hundreds of pack members lined the path to the altar, where Lucas stood waiting. He wore a black suit, accented with silver, looking every inch the powerful alpha. But his eyes held only tenderness when they met hers. Their bond hummed with shared joy as she walked toward him, each step deliberate and confident, so different from the desperate woman who once read fortunes in a tiny shop. Derek stood at Lucas's side as his beta and witness, grinning broadly at how far they'd all come. Elder Catherine Reeves presided over the ceremony, her voice carrying across the gathered crowd. We come together to witness the formal mating ceremony and Luna coronation of Alpha Lucas Thorne and his chosen mate, Chloe Winters Thorne. Lucas took Chloe's hands in his as they faced each other to speak their vows. His deep voice was thick with emotion as he began. Chloe, you came into my life as part of a desperate plan, but you transformed it into something real and precious. I vow to be not just your mate, but your partner, to lead with the compassion you've taught me, and to love you with everything I am, both man and wolf, for all our days. Tears sparkled in Chloe's eyes as she spoke her own vows. Lucas, you showed me that strength can be gentle and that love can grow in the most unexpected places. I vow to stand beside you as your equal, to bring light to your shadows, and to love every part of you, alpha and man, for all our days. They exchanged silver rings engraved with pack symbols, and Elder Catherine placed the Luna's ceremonial pendant around Chloe's neck. The crystal at its center glowed with the same golden light as their mate bond. The pack recognizes and celebrates this union, Elder Catherine declared. May their bond strengthen us all. Lucas pulled Chloe into a kiss that made their bond surge with golden light. The assembled pack erupted in joyful howls, led by Derek and Sophia. During the celebration feast that followed, Chloe drew Lucas aside to a quiet moment on the estate's grand balcony. The setting sun painted the pack lands in warm gold, a perfect backdrop for her news. I have something to tell you, she said, taking his hands and placing them on her stomach. Through their bond, she let him feel what she'd discovered days ago, the tiny spark of new life growing within her. Lucas's eyes widened in wonder. His wolf surged forward with pure joy, and he let out a triumphant howl that echoed across the valley. The entire pack answered in chorus, the sound rolling through the mountains like thunder. When the echoes faded, Chloe laughed softly. I'm definitely not in my little psychic shop anymore. Thank God Derek walked through that door, Lucas murmured, pulling her close. So, mighty Alpha, she teased. Do you believe in fate now? Lucas smiled, touching his forehead to hers. I believe in choices. The choice to trust when everything seems impossible. The choice to love even when it terrifies you. The choice to build something real from the most unlikely beginning. Their kiss was sweet and perfect as the sun painted the sky in brilliant colors, their bond glowing between them like captured starlight. Below, their pack celebrated, not just an Alpha and Luna, but a family united by choices made and love freely given.